This is the 2018 Suzuki Vitara S. This specific one is powered by a 1.4 Boosterjet engine, so 1.4 litre petrol engine, and it produces 150 PS. So already that's relatively impressive. Put that with the fact it's got 220 Newton meters of torque. It's got all-wheel drive and costs just over £23,000, and you very quickly realise that this is a bargain vehicle. Alongside all of those bits and pieces as standard on this, because this is just over £23,000 on the road at base spec, which this is because you don't really have options. You get things like keyless entry, keyless start, radar guided cruise control, forward collision alert, you get Apple CarPlay, you get downhill descent control, reversing camera, parking sensors, and the list goes on. Gig test time. It's the usual, it's a longer distance, it's motorway, it's A roads, it's B roads, it's a mix of everything. So let's see what this can actually turn around on this journey. Sadly, my base does have to go on the rear footwells. There isn't quite enough space in the boot. The boot's a decent size and it's got variable load heights, but it's just not quite deep enough to take everything. I've arrived and I achieved 44.7 miles per gallon, which in the grand scheme of things may not seem great, but bear this in mind, it was windy, the road went up and down, and it kind of went wherever it wanted. It wasn't a constant flat, it wasn't a constant up, it wasn't a constant down, it was all over the place. It was a mix between going on 60, 70 miles an hour, and this is a 1.4 litre engine, so you've got to give credit where credit's due. This is a big car to move, and to achieve that, good. It's all gone a little bit pear-shaped. Did the gig and came out, even though it was a bit snowy earlier, to well, this level of snow, which in this area, which has already been gritted, doesn't seem too bad. But on the back roads where I came through and couldn't get the video camera out in time, it was absolutely horrific, where like extra BMWs were failing to get stuck in stone mode, and it just pulled itself up. I'm really impressed. Inside, it's a nice, if not overly quiet, but definitely comfortable place to be. It's got hard-wearing plastics, everything's where you need it to be. There's ISOFIX in the rear seats. Generally, visibility is very, very good. The quality of the interior, it isn't that it's bad, it is a very, very good quality interior, and you can tell that it's going to take some serious abuse. And technology-wise inside, well, aside from the fact that you've got your display here, which gives you anything from your Apple CarPlay to the inbuilt satellite navigation, your DAB radio, or just your Bluetooth connectivity with your phone, you then go to the fact that you do have radar guided cruise control, which is very, very good. Forward collision warning system, which is very, very good. My only bugbear really is that you only get one automatic all the way down, all the way up window. The rest of them you have to hold all the way down, and I feel like that's penny pinching, because really to have the correct switch put in there to allow it to go all the way down and for all the rest of the windows, it would be quite cheap. Aside from that, the interior is a very comfortable place to be, and on a long run you don't feel yourself becoming tiresome. It's easy to drive, it's not luxurious, but everything's where you need it to be, and it's hard wearing. Parking, well, goes without saying, you need to be able to do it, and this is a more parking inclined city car than it would lead you to believe, because it can fit into almost any space. So with the front and rear parking sensors and the rear view camera, you really get a gauge of what's going on around you. So it can go in forwards, it can go in backwards, going however you want it to go. Really, it's a really good car for visibility all round. Getting into tight situations isn't as precarious as you think it might be. Performance wise, this really surprised me. Every year I have a car that really surprises me. And last year it was the Micra, and this year thus far it is the Vitara S. The reason being, this 140 brake or 140 PS engine is really quick around town. Really nippy, but then also returns really frugal fuel economy around town. On a run, it's decent. It can sit at 70 miles an hour easily, but it prefers to sit at 60. The gearbox is easy to use, and the onboard systems when stuck in auto are very good. As I found in snow, I just had to leave it in auto and it did everything. When I had to drive 110 miles to get home and there was deep snow everywhere, I was really worried that, you know, this, what I considered at that point fake 4x4, wasn't going to be able to cut the mustard, as they say, but it did it and some. There were hills that the BMW 535X drives couldn't get up, that this just popped on, went straight up the top, no issues. It pulled itself along at 40-50 miles an hour on a motorway completely covered in snowdrifts and at no point felt out of control. Combine that with the fact that around town it's quick, on a run the fuel economy is okay. It handles ridiculously well for a vehicle of this kind. And all of a sudden you realise that this £23,000 car is going to give you everything and more than a car double its price. Okay, the commuting test, the economy test of commuting tests, because what I did as a commuting test was longer distance, was highway speeds, and really a car of this isn't so much suited to that. This is more suited to maximum 50 mile an hour, realistically 30 to 40 mile an hour, because that's where I see this get really good fuel economy. So I start this surrounded by some snow because for some reason it's snowing in March. But let's see what this can get on a normal around town commute. I'm going to reset the trip. Let's just see what's feasible. .9 miles per gallon total. Bearing in mind how many red lights I hit and how many changes of speed there were, it means that there is a potential that when you commute you could see upwards of 50 miles per gallon, and then realistically it gives me hope that on a run, if you didn't drive at 70, you drove at 60, you didn't have an undulating road, you could see very high figures from this little pocket rocket of a car. And I'm really glad to say that it does have the potential to get good fuel economy, but if you do have a heavier right foot, because it is a smaller engine with a heavier car, it is a bit juicy. Aesthetically, Suzuki have upped their game recently. Now this colour, it's called bright red, and it is bright red, although Ford have a red which is even brighter than this. But as I say, they've upped their game. Their cars look significantly better now from all round. While this still is a little odd looking at the back, it's got that kind of odder look because, well, it's an all-wheel drive. It's a bit higher at the back, but this is a substantial upgrade on previous versions, and this looks substantially better than any effort they've done before. So props to Suzuki, because they're now making really decent looking cars. Practicality wise, the boot is a decent size. It's slightly bigger than a Golf boot, and it's definitely deeper than a Golf boot, but it's not longer, and I found that out because unfortunately my base does have to go on the back seat, well, not on the back seat, in the rear footwell. But that's not a bad thing. The boot is definitely usable. It has a adjustable boot floor itself, so it's fine, and for your shopping you're never ever going to complain. Any issues, just put the rear seats down, really. Passenger comfort wise, well, as a driver you have lots of different bits and pieces that can keep you occupied. As a passenger, the sound system is decent. It's not very premium, but it gets loud and it has quality to it. The rear legroom is very good, and you've got rear isofix if you're looking at this as a family car. The main thing I really want to get across with this is that it has the technology of a vehicle double, if not a bit more than double its cost. It's got the utility of a vehicle double its size, as in it struggled at no point to do anything I threw at it. If you want to drive this around town, go ahead. Visibility is great, fuel economy is fantastic, and the lock is superb to get you around, and that nip from the engine is more than punchy enough to get you about. If you want to take this on the motorway, it's fine. It's not as quiet as some competitors, but the competitors I'm putting it up against are double the price. If you want to go off-roading, then let it surprise you by sticking it into snow mud mode, because it's unstoppable. It's not a heavy car, it doesn't have huge tyres, so it does just pull through where it needs to go. This is a vehicle that can go anywhere and can do anything, and can do it for half the price of competitor vehicles. This is a vehicle that can go anywhere, that can do anything, and will constantly surprise you in what it does. It doesn't cost the world to buy, it doesn't cost the world to own and run and insure. It's cheap, and it does everything that competitor vehicles twice the price can do. The only difference that you get for your £20,000 change is that people may not look at you in the same way as they would in the fancier vehicle. But this can do everything that the fancier vehicle can do. It can do it with ease. And I'm really surprised that Suzuki aren't getting more credit for what their vehicles can do.